West Ham United won, Tottenham won. I've not got a lot of strong emotions after that one, really. Possibly a draw was a fair result. Maybe West Ham could and should have won that game. I'm not a great one for the old XG, but the XG, the expected goals, what I would tell you was that West Ham were expected to score 1 goal, and we did. Tottenham were expected to score less than half a goal, and I guess they did, because we gifted them their goal very, very early on in the game. Max Kilman has not been having a good time at West Ham. I think he's looked really shaky. In fact, I think he's been our worst defender over recent weeks, because that is, well, we've not won since February, by the way. That's 8 games without a win. More about that later on, really. I don't want to turn this into a sort of, Graham Potter slugfest. I think, well, that particularly that first goal was not on him at all. It was a complete individual error. In many respects, 2 individual errors from Max Kilman, which led to Spurs going 1-0 up very early in the game. And Kilman was lucky to be in the team, if you ask me. Aaron Cresswell was drafted in to play as the left-sided defender of a back 3. And we said this in the build-up. We thought Mavropanos was unlucky to be omitted, because whilst he might have been a bit calamitous at the start of the season, Mavropanos, he's actually been all right. In the last few games, he's been one of the better defenders. I certainly think that Max Kilman's been the worst. And I think it was Tell. He had 2 opportunities to clear the ball. And on the first opportunity, when the ball had come over the top, he decided to try and play it, which you think very much they're under instructions to play out more from the back. So I almost felt like he was trying to play what he'd been told to do. That didn't happen. And then, because he missed, basically tried to kick it and tried to pass it out, I guess, to Todibo, but it didn't happen. He just sort of kicked it against Tell, and then the ball sort of ricocheted and bounced back to him. Now, at that point, he's lucky. He had a second bite of the cherry, a second opportunity to clear it, to hoof it into the stands. And he tried to be skillful with it again. And in the end, he just got robbed of the ball, and Tell crossed the ball over. It was really, really easy. It's to sort of nobody's fault, I don't think, in the middle, because who could have expected that ball to come across? You think somebody of Max Kilman's, nothing to do with his value, but an experienced Premier League defender. All right, if you want to play the ball the first time, fine. But the moment it doesn't work and you get a second chance to clear it, just bloody clear it. Nobody would have been expecting that ball to come across. It just came across the face of the box, and it was just an easy goal for Tottenham, and really can't blame anybody else there. And they didn't deserve to be in the lead, because West Ham had started the game the more brightly. Well, we had, so there's no doubt about it. And we had a couple of really good runs from Wan-Bissaka down the right-hand side. And the first one, his crossing just let him down a bit. His second one, his cross was good, but just didn't actually transpire into anything. You had Fulkrug didn't have his best game today, but nonetheless, I still think West Ham looked better with Fulkrug in the team. We just looked better. Used to say the same with Mikel Antonio. West Ham just looked better with, what I guess, a central figure in there. Even though I know Antonio would pull wide and whatnot, but somebody in there, someone with a bit of strength, a bit of stature, maybe. I think the team looked a little bit better. But make no mistake about it, this was a really poor Tottenham team. Well, I say it's a really poor Tottenham team. This was a reserve Tottenham team, if we're honest. There's not too many of those players will be playing in the second leg of the semi-final over in Norway on Thursday. And it was very much a Tottenham team with their eye on Norway. And it was a game of, in many respects, low quality, with more attacks from West Ham. So we had 11 shots, which is quite good for us under Potter, 11 shots. We have that low average that we have is sort of 9.6, so I guess that's a little bit higher than the average. But I don't think we were horrendous. We weren't horrendous in this game. I haven't got loads and loads of complaints about it, far from it, apart from really that individual error from Max Kilman, who was all right for the remainder of the game, by the way. But it was such a whopper, such a howler, that it ended up costing us, because unfortunately, we can't score enough goals to do anything in games, really. It was they were there for the taking, Tottenham. Make no mistake about it. They were there for the taking. And we're not playing good football teams at the moment. I didn't think Brighton were particularly good last week. I certainly don't think Southampton are a good team. But it is hard to envisage a West Ham team that could score 3 or 4 goals. Let's put it that way. So once Kilman makes that error, it's so hard to have any confidence we'll get anything back. But we were okay. We are sort of allowed them back into it. Anyway, sorry, I'm going out of getting ahead of myself here. We equalised, and I thought it was a good goal. I didn't think it was a good goal. It was a good goal. You probably think it's a good goal. Good switch of play from Mohamed Kudus. Went all the way over to the other side of Wan-Bissaka, who was one of West Ham's best attackers today. And no, he didn't start in attack. He started at right wing back. But he got into a lot of positions to cause damage. Was in the box a lot. I've got nothing but good things to say about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Let me just say that, right? I've got Gio generously got me a T-shirt, got a signed shirt from him. I'm going to get that framed up. That will take pride of place over there when we do these videos. Wan-Bissaka's my hammer of the year. I thought he was our best player in this game, by the way. So I've got nothing bad to say about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But I don't want him to sit. I want him to be our most involved attacker, which is what it seemed like he was today. I'm sure you'll see the stats, and that won't quite be the case, but that's how it seemed for me. It seemed like if anything was going to happen, it was probably going to happen through him. And I guess it did, because the switch of play from Kudus over to Wan-Bissaka, who played Jarrod Bowen. It's Jarrod Bowen's lovely run. What I liked about this is just before Bowen made the run, he spoke to Fulkrug and told Fulkrug to go in the opposite direction. So it was very, very cerebral. There was no accident in this goal. Wan-Bissaka played the ball through, which is, by the way, that was his fourth either pass or cross into the box in the game. It was after 28 minutes. That's how effective he had been. That's how, well, not effective, that's how forward-thinking he had been. And Bowen took the ball really well. He'd already been in a similar situation already once before, but he decided to try and do the pullback, not dissimilar to where Mohamed Kudus had scored from last week. But and this opportunity, he didn't do that. He basically popped the ball through the goalkeeper's legs. Really good, really good goal. He's dead-eyed Dick, Jarrod Bowen. He really is. A 10th Premier League goal of the season. Where would we be without him? He's magnificent, and that was about as good as it was going to get, really, for West Ham. We kept trying. We saw a bit of the good, the bad, and the ugly from Lucas Paqueta. I don't really know what was going on there, but I'd like to know now. As I'm recording this now, it's straight after the game. It's just this video goes out later than Gio's because Gio goes live, and I edit this basically. So by the time I've edited it and rendered it, I'm always half hour or an hour behind Gio. So maybe by the time you're watching this, you've got the explanation for what happened with Paqueta. But what can I say about him? He tried almost everything from open play that West Ham created was through him. And all I can say is once he was substituted on 81 minutes, so Graham Potter made 4 substitutions at once. Once he was substituted on 81 minutes, West Ham stopped creating from open play, really. So he was having a good game. There was some really good stuff. Some passes he did were excellent. But we had to make a load of tackles because really it was him and Thomas Souček in central midfield. So there were always going to be a lot of tackles that he had to make. He obviously got the predictable yellow card, but he got very upset, and I don't know if he was crying. I don't want to, so don't take my word for it. Go and have a look for yourself. It seemed like he might have been crying. I don't know if anyone ever saw. I don't know if you ever saw Oliver McCall fight Lennox Lewis. And he started crying during the fight. It was weird. Anyway, so whatever was, I don't know what was going on. Maybe I've got it completely wrong. So pay no attention to me on that if I've got it wrong. But I thought he might have been. Maybe I've read that totally wrong. So he was sort of substituted shortly afterwards. But even before that, he'd been really good, and he gave away this sloppy pass, which gave Tottenham, I think, probably their second best attacking opportunity during the game in terms of outnumbering West Ham. And you know what he's like? He didn't chase back. And even though he hadn't been fouled, he just passed it to Tottenham. It's almost like he went down and pretended to be injured. I've not seen that much from him for a while. Maybe he was injured. I don't want to overly criticise him if actually it turns out he was injured and that's why. But it was weird. It was just a weird sort of few minutes you don't normally see on a football pitch. And I think ultimately, I'm not disappointed to see him go off, because when he basically when Lucas Paqueta went off, our creativity stopped pretty much. So yeah, it was a bit weird. It was a bit odd. I was disappointed not to see Luis Guilherme because there was an opportunity, I thought, for us to try and win the game. I think we probably were trying to win the game, but we just, as I say, we just don't know how. We don't know how to win football matches, and that's the truth of the matter. We can't score large increments of goals, and it should have been an easy one. That is a really. We could play for the next 10 seasons if we're lucky and we're in the Premier League. We're playing for the next 10 seasons in the Premier League. We probably won't play a Tottenham team as bad as that. The last 3 teams we played have not been good. I'll tell you that much now. Anyway, look, recriminations like that, maybe for another day. I'm not disgusted. I'm not totally downbeat. It is just I feel a little bit apathetic towards it, if I'm honest. And in many respects, we didn't finish the game too strongly. I think that's probably my takeaway from this. We didn't finish the game too strongly. We didn't let them swarm us, and they weren't all over us. Never really we were in threat of conceding a late goal. So I guess that can be seen as progress. I'm quite sure Potter won't be as upset as he was in the previous game. But the substitutions didn't help us particularly. And I just wonder if we let them off the hook a little bit there. And I just wonder if we could have got something from that game. And there was a real opportunity for many things to get some real impetus and to finish the season strongly. And I won't change what I said in my video yesterday, which I did think that was there, and I think they were a winnable 4 games between now and the end of the season. Obviously, well, it's not going to happen now because we didn't win the first of the 4 games. And it's hard to now make the case that, because Manchester United are better than this lot, so and I think West Ham are a bit better. So if we can't beat this lot, and we can't beat Southampton, and we can't beat Brighton, we'll deal with Man United in the preview. But we're really bad, and today we just weren't very good. We didn't stink the place out today. Let's put it that way. And you know, there were some decent performances, and I thought Todibo, I thought he showed some moments of class. I thought it was nice to have the calming influence of Aaron Cresswell back. I thought Kudus had his moments. Bowen, Paqueta, Wan-Bissaka, we've already discussed. I thought Souček put in a shift, and it was, that was okay, but they did not test us. They really, really didn't test us at all. They got bigger fish to fry, and because of that, they put the minnows in against us today. They really were. They were, not particularly great. But there you go. I'm going to stop waffling on. There's not. The truth of the matter is, there's not an awful lot more to say. You're probably better off going off and watching some. Do you watch Mobland? I know I've said it a few times. Watching Mobland, that's very good. Maybe go and watch that or something. Maybe you're going to go and watch the Liverpool-Chelsea game. Not that particularly matters. Liverpool won the title. Chelsea may or may not qualify for the Champions League. Who bloody knows? But I mean, overall, not a great day. Not a great day at the office for West Ham. Potter will be pleased because it's relieved some of the pressure from him, and maybe I'm sure he'll take a point. There were a few boos at the end of the game, noticed, but West Ham had more shots. I think we had 11 and they had 8, maybe. Both teams had 2 shots on target. We had a bit more possession, but ultimately pretty underwhelming stuff.